Hello everyone. I'm just going to do a quick recap on a pound yen trade that I'm currently in. Sitting right around 280, 290 pips on the second part of my position. So not a bad little trade. That's was essentially just kind of a more or less a day trade that kind of turned into a potential swing trade. So we'll see where it goes from here. But this was such a simple trade to put on. Really, only two things behind it. Um, I had this trend line, and I kind of had this little zone here that I had marked off. Just a rough zone. Maybe tighten it up just a little, or fatten it up a little bit more. But so just kind of a super easy. It was really easy. We had a little impulsive candle that broke these levels here. This zone. One large candle. Sorry if you hear my daughter. She is 1 year old and is sitting right here with me. So um, I'll try and make this quick. I think, this level here marked, which I extended over as well. Extend to the left. You can see that, this level has held more precisely over, the past year, really. Right there. So I had that level marked, but three things, that's all I had. This was a purely structured trade. I didn't really even incorporate any Fibonacci or anything like I do. No indicators, just pure price. And my entry was on the 1 hour chart. So again, we had this impulsive move that broke these levels on August 10th. Couple days went by. I was actually on vacation when all this went down, and started retracing back up to retest these levels. Couple of selling pressure coming into these daily candles here. But if I skip over to the 1 hour chart, you can see my trade. The first part of my position was just a 1-to-1 risk to reward. You can see where I entered. All this price action here is in the middle of that zone that I had marked off, and this here is essentially that daily candle that initiated that break of that violation of that zone and the main trend line and that more precise level here, which is this level here that extends far to back in the past. I had this kind of more minor trend line, or not trend line, but little structure level here that you can kind of see was a little bit more precise. And this was my entry right here. You can see we had this little intersecting trend line here, a little fake breakout, false breakout to the upside. To retest the high of that daily candle that initiated that move, but buyers were unable to follow through with that and really even retest the high. It got close, but didn't quite make it up there before it kind of rolled over again. So quick spike back up. No follow through buying. That was my entry on that first test of this little intersection point. And initially that was good for nearly 50 pips, but price eventually came back to my entry and just kind of hung out there for several hours before spiking back up for one last try at those highs, at the high of that daily candle, before really rolling over straight to my target pretty much. Pretty painless trade, more or less. I'm happy with my entry. Obviously could have got a better entry, especially if I, took that initial retest. But Overall, this is trading. You have to be accepting of this amount of risk, or however much that you want to risk, which this was the amount that I was comfortable risking, which, I mean, it was about, it's a 90 pip stop, but, I'm not focused on the amount of pips that I gain. I'm more of a percent. I risk a certain percentage to make a certain percentage, and in this case, it was a 1-to-1 risk to reward initially. So, and that has since then just turned into a nice little swing trade here. I'm up almost 300 pips on the second part of my position. You can see, based off of how we've kind of broken down here, I had a buy limit order here to knock off half of my position, and it sends me a little alert, and I get a text message saying order filled. So I move my stop to break even at that moment, and then just let it ride. I didn't even look at it again until price was actually kind of breaking back down below the lows here. And once we did that, then I rolled my stop a little bit more, just above this little wedge pattern here. If we kind of look at that, you can see that there. We got that little wedge pattern before our next little impulsive move down into another little wedge pattern. So currently my stop that's very large. Sorry about that. Sorry. Let's see here. Sorry, my phone was going off. We have this little pattern here, same kind of consolidation thing. So now my stop is right around here, just above the highs of this, wedge pattern here. So I don't really have a target in mind. Obviously we're kind of, if you jump back out to the daily chart, you can see prices kind of picking up some momentum, selling momentum here. So I don't know. I'm just gonna ride it. There's a couple of pretty key levels here that have been strong in the past and have found buyers, and we're almost there. So, unless we get some kind of crazy impulsive candle that just completely breaks through, I'll probably get trail stopped out, but that's fine. Right now I have, and this isn't precise, but anywhere's between, probably around 120 to 150 pips locked in currently at the moment. So that's a pretty good little trade there, 90 pips on the first part of the position, and sitting at 120 some odd pips locked in on the second part. So that's the trade. I don't really have anything else to say. We'll see how price reacts around this kind of zone there, if we can push down there. But I'm not anticipating one thing or another to happen. I'm just trading and managing my trade accordingly. So if you have any questions, let me know. I got several little emails or messages about this trade when I posted it into the group. So let me know if you have any other questions, if anything's unclear on why I entered and how I'm managing this trade. So take care and happy trading.